Morning, Maggie. Morning, Luke. Morning, Neil. Morning, Robert. Nancy. Neil again. Morning, Reverend of Wrestling, Jim Campbell. Desiree. Alistair. Morning, William. Morning, Ian. Morning, Alan. Morning, Andy. Morning, Steve. Morning, Mr. E. Morning, John. Morning, Ivor. Welcome aboard. Morning, Martin. Morning, Linda. Numbers are starting to climb nicely now. Morning, Stephen. Morning, PJ. Morning, Bob. Eck. Hi, Eddie. Morning, Arc Office. Been busy throwing a parcel of robes. Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that, dear boy. We'll get to that. Hey, you actually got a notification this morning, Elizabeth, did you? Good stuff. Hey. Oh, is Mr. Milligan on as well, is he? Morning, Tommy. How's things doing there in Ayrshire? Morning, Kirsty. Right, seems to be a fair few is on board, so let's get this broadcast underway. It's Indy Truck Davey out the truck and at home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it's a beautiful morning, but bloody chilly, 2 degrees. Okay, that's the weather forecast for Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. You want to know what the weather's like with you are? Look out your ain't bloody windy. Alright, this is a news review for the 25th of the 1st, 2023 from the colony of Scotland. So we're reviewing Burns Night. But we'll not be talking about haggis, tatties, neats or whiskey. Alright, well, we'll be talking about whiskey. No, we're not. Right, Wednesday started with a mixed bag in the rags. Stroke risk warning and bullying epidemic are two of the main headlines. Now, the Scotsman leads with Scots 3 times more likely to suffer strokes than residents in other parts of the United Kingdom. Thanks very much for that, Jane. I really appreciate it. Lemon character taking his sunglasses off and raising his arm to greet someone. Imitated by Baby Lemon. Very good. Thank you very much. Anyway, where are we at? This info comes from Public Health Scotland. They tell us that 176 people per 100,000 in Scotland suffered a stroke in 2021. And the rest of the UK, the figure was just 72 strokes per 100,000 of population. Tory health person and either liar or idiot, will let you decide, who misrepresented waiting times for scan in Scotland, disgraced Sandy Sculhaley, says it's another SNP fail. Alright. The level of strokes in Scotland has dropped by 2.4% since 2014-2015. Why do more Scots suffer strokes than UK? Davy says that's easy. Up here we've got brains. That's where stroke happens, in the brain. It's a brain injury. Down that road they vote Tory and generally have empty heads. So there's no much point of, there's no much of them down there go to brain. So there won't be as many strokes. Simple as that. Anyway, moving on. The other big story in the rags is a bullying epidemic, apparently. I've never heard so much crap in all my life. So Davey went and had a look at the figures for violence in youths and youth crime in general in Scotland. Anyway, Councillor Angela Gillooly, a councillor in Fife in Kirkcaldy, she says there's a bullying epidemic and she's swamped by children seeking advice on bullying. Now, when we talk about a councillor, we're not talking about a district councillor for a party. We're talking about sort of councillor that counsels on mental health issues here, right? Anyway, she counsels on alcohol abuse, bereavement, and all these things. Miss Clooney claims that youth violence is out of control. But it doesn't stand up because, as I say, the latest figures from Edinburgh University and Police Scotland says youth crime down 42% since 2010. And violent crime in the youth category is down by 62%. Sorry, that's a minor assaults are down 62%. Serious assaults down 9% since 2010, and attempted assault, whatever that is, down 7% since 2010. Miss Calooney may have a problem in Kirkcaldy. maybe she needs to talk to the local authority there rather than petition Miss Sturgeon to bring in an unnecessary law, when actually right across the board youth crime is down by 42% since 2010. In fact, it mirrors the fall in crime, which is down by 42% since 2010 altogether. We're at the lowest crime level in Scotland there's been in 43 years. So this idea that we have a bullying epidemic plastered over the rags yesterday is bull. It doesn't match. Davy went and looked at the figures. You can go on to your search engine and batter in youth crime study, and it'll bring up the latest figures for Edinburgh University and Police Scotland, which makes it quite clear that violent crime in our younger generations is well down. Okay. Right. And Fiona says that, Davy says the reason why stroke figures are higher here in Scotland, but they are in England, it's got Davy how the figures are compiled. Okay, I'm going to take Davy's word for it. His wife works in the profession. Right, moving on, where are we? Other headlines in the rags say tenants could face homelessness due to loopholes in eviction ban by Scottish Government. Well, that's something Scottish Government's going to have to look at. Right, and transgender, a rapist sentenced to jail goes to Cottonville. We'll get more of that when we get into the report. Right. Treasury rules out tax cuts. Due to UK debt hitting 2.5 trillion. Well, David, the look this morning is 2.8 trillion. Anyway, apparently there won't be any tax cuts in the budget in March, but there also won't be any tax increases apparently. But when you keep this tax level stagnant, the government generally draws more tax anyway. Okay. Anyway, borrowing in December was 27.5 billion, most of which went on debt interest payments and energy subsidies to the Big Six. Davy says, don't give the Big Six any subsidies, cap the bloody energy price. That's it. Just stroke your pen and tell them that's the maximum you can sell per unit, a unit of energy at. So don't be giving them any more money. That will save 7 billion quid. And the other thing is, believe it or not, we're actually borrowing to pay debt interest. That's illogical and it's bloody lunacy. No wonder the place is in such a bloody mess. Wow. Right, and the only right wing rag, the Fail, says UK must go for growth to cut the state debt. You heard Davy rant about this headline yesterday. Where growth? Grow what? Grow where? Sell what to who? We haven't got any fucking trade deals with anybody. Stupid is as stupid does, and most of the stupids embedded in Westminster and the bloody elite who think they're born onto this planet to rule over us. Mental. Right, moving on. Wednesday started here in Scotland on a hoo-ha about a transgender rapist being sent to Scotland's main female prison facility at Cottonville in Stirlingshire. Justice Minister Keith Brown faced an urgent question in the Holyrood Chamber. Mr Brown tells the Chamber risk assessments have been carried out by the Scottish Prison Service, who he trusts them and have great experience in housing transgender prisoners. Right. Anyway, the questions go on, and Keith Brown assures the Chamber that risk assessments have been done, and when he's getting popped questions by people in the Chamber, Keith just says to them, look, I trust the Scottish Prison Service to deal with this. I trust their risk assessment. They've been handling transgender prisoners for a long time now with exemplary service in housing transgender prisoners. He also makes it clear that this transgender rapist being sent to Cottonville will not be in the general population. So apparently, he/she, whatever you want to call him, her, will be kept separately from the main population. Okay. So the cuckoos in the nest are all up in arms about something which is run-of-the-mill here in Scotland. This particular case has been brought to the front because of the Gender Recognition Reform Bill, which Scotland has been housing transgender prisoners for a long time now, very successfully. Oh, sorry, something cut my throat there. Very successfully. So a hoo-ha about bugger all as usual. And Britain, our democracy deniers, has said the GRE should have been left till we were independent. It's just another block on the road to Indy. It's another distraction, that's for sure. Right, moving on. Wednesday, and more improvement in NHS Scotland. Tuesday saw A&E waiting times improve. Wednesday data on ambulance waiting times also sees a massive improvement, right? Ambulance turnaround times in December were 52 minutes for pick up to Athlone Hospital. So you got to remember that's called, picked up, transported, dropped off at the hospital, checked in at hospital. In December it was taking 52 minutes. So far in January it's down to 42 minutes. So that's 42 minutes for receiving a call to the Scottish Ambulance Service to somebody being safely delivered and seen to in the hospital. No bad at all. Scotland's a big place, a lot of small rural towns, and they're still managed to turn it around in 42 minutes. That's really good. That's good God. But of course, the times will get better as pressure on the NHS eases. But it's funny that last month, and the beginning of this month, the NHS was a bloody disaster. They were calling it a national emergency and calling on the First Minister to call a crisis in the National Health Service. This month, things are settling down. It is just like the First Minister and Health Minister said, pressure in the NHS. But what's really interesting about it, these stories really started disappearing when social media started getting covered in pictures of the A&E for you guys and me, with the ambulance queues outside. And we were going in and asking what waiting times were and finding out they weren't enormous at 12-hour waits. The average waiting time across Scotland was 2 hours. Huh. There you go. And Stirrs is telling us Peter in Fairmont that Kirkcaldy, it takes about 20 minutes in an ambulance. So turnaround time at 42 minutes is brilliant. You know? But as I say, it's interesting how this all started debating, really, when pictures of empty ambulance bays and empty A&Es started battering across the social media outlets for you guys. And I want to thank you all for the information that you gave us. Hi folks, your name is Ryan. Just to let you know, alright, thanks Ryan. It's much easier than saying Britain, that's our democracy deniers every time I want to address one of your comments. Right, anyway, as I say, it's quite interesting how these stories quickly disappeared when we started looking for ourselves. And when they get a hint that we started looking for ourselves. Very interesting. Right, moving on, Wednesday. And water supplies restored to 100,000 homes in the Glasgow area after a burst pipe in Mulgai ripped up the road and flooded the surrounding area. The A81 and the B020 were closed. Repairs to the pipe were completed by Tuesday at 23:30 hours, which is quite good. Been switched off for a few hours. And services were restored overnight, but as I say, the road's still getting repaired. It'll take a couple of days. All right, moving on Wednesday. And Scots are being urged to sign up to a massive ongoing public health study starting in 2006. It's called Generation Scot. And the study has helped shape healthcare in Scotland. And since 2006 has helped find many life-saving treatments. There are 24,000 Scots at this point in time signed up to Generation Scot. As I say, the survey's been ongoing since 2006. They're hoping to add another 20,000 Scots to the study. So if you're minded to join this study that's been going on since 2006, just type into your search engine Generation Scot, and you'll get a link to the study which is being conducted by Edinburgh University. Okay. Right, moving on. Wednesday lunchtime rolls around and the weekly Punch and Judy show is on in the Westminster Chamber. Starmer's first two questions were on violence against women. Sunak says his party takes it serious and have introduced measures to protect women. What crap, of course. Starmer then went on Nadine Zawawi's tax avoidance and asked if there had been any issues flagged up before he was made a minister. Sunak said no, but Davey says he's a liar because these issues first came to light when Zawawi was appointed Chancellor under the dying Johnson government. When Sunak resigned, Johnson needed a new Chancellor. He put Nadine Zawawi in Sunak's place, trying to protect his job and stay as Prime Minister. Of course, we know that failed Bojo eventually to resign. But these issues were flagged up to Bojo the Clown, which meant Sunak knew about it. Okie dokie. Right. Next up, Starmer then asked if somebody who's been avoiding tax is the right person to be in charge of taxpayers' money. Sunak then goes on to say, we're having an inquiry, wait for a Magnus report sort of thing. Right. Starmer then tells Sunak he's weak for no sacking him. He's weak because he can't turn around an ambulance waiting times and ambulances and waiting times in England. He's just crap and the job's over. It's too much for him. Sunak then goes on the Corbyn card, claiming anti-Semitism and all that crap, and saying that Starmer's clueless. He sat beside Corbyn for a number of years before taking over Corbyn, and blah blah blah. And to be honest with you, it was a lot of pish. Absolute. It shouldn't be called Prime Minister's questions. It should be Prime Minister avoids questions. I don't think Sunak answered a single question. No, they were that telling anyway. You know, the crux of it was, wait for a Magnus report, due process. I believe in due process. Wait for a Magnus report. That was it. Anyway, so we're back to ask my pal if I'm a liar and wait for a Magnus report. It's like Sue Gray all over again. Groundhog Day for a dead and dying administration and corrupt system. Right. Anyway, as I say, Starmer asked him the Joe's too much from Sunak said no. And as I say, he played the Corbyn card. Right, next up was Stephen Flynn. He asked the PM what advice he would give people on personal finances. Mr. Flynn asked, should people seek out the chair of the BBC to secure a loan? Should they set up trust funds in Gibraltar and hope HMRC don't notice? Or should they just apply for non-dom status? Davey was rolling about in the flare at this point. I'm beginning to like this Mr. Flynn. He's quite funny, actually. Sunak, for some reason, said his government was protecting the most vulnerable in society when all about energy price relief and all that. Protecting nobody. Because Davey and the other Davies explained to you guys, they could cap the price of energy with a stroke of a pen. They just know. If you shares an energy company, so let them rampant profit gearing. Mr. Flynn then asked Sunak, is it any wonder that the people of Scotland see the Tory party as a parcel of rogues, just living in bums night while he's at it, you know? Sunak waffles some more fish and we all moved on. That was it. Yeah. Sunak offered up more piss. More following due process. Bollocks. You know, it's 40 minutes of my life I could do without wasting every bloody Wednesday. So it is. Stephen did point out the answer wasn't the answer to the question he asked. He was asking about what advice would the Prime Minister give people on their personal finances. The Prime Minister's advice is the same as Ian Duncan Smith. You're skint with it. Just a wee report in for Martin there. He's at Edinburgh Royal Infirmary. Ambulance bay, 2 ambulances, bed empty. Waiting time, nothing. Even as we are live, we're getting information flowing in, folks. All right, so as I say, that was Prime Minister's for you. Very ungratifying. Waste of 40 minutes of my life. Right, moving on. Wednesday. A new boost to Aberdeen economy as harbour upgrade leads to major cruise ship companies adding Aberdeen as a stopover on their routes. Now, as I say, it's a good news story for Aberdeen, and in the first half of 2023, it will see 26 cruise ships visit Aberdeen. That will bring a fair few quid to the Aberdeen economy, so that's a good news story. All right, moving on. On Wednesday here in Scotland, new wind farm project scaled back to protect golden eagles. Apparently, community wind farms wanted to build 75 turbines in the Moffat area. It's been reduced to 60 turbines to help with eagle conservation. I'm sure the 60 turbines will be sufficient. We have an abundance of wind energy at this point in time. We haven't got abundance of golden eagles, but we've definitely got abundance of wind energy. Right, moving on. Wednesday, and new fox hunt bill passes in Holyrood. The Scottish Government's new bill will close loopholes exploited by those hunting with packs of dogs. The bill covers fox hunting, rabbit and hare coursing. Okay, as I say, new fox hunting bill. Hopefully this will put an end to this barbaric elitists. I don't think it's sport. I really don't think it's sport. Big horses, packs of hounds, chasing a wee fox. Nah, that's the sport. Right, moving on. Wednesday. And a new blow to the UK economy as car manufacturing down to the lowest level seen since 1956, with Brexit seeing a production plummet by 10%. This comes on the back of a blow to the electric car making sector here in the UK too. As last week, a company set up called British Volt to produce batteries for electric cars in the UK goes belly up. So car industry is going by the wayside. And it's not just when the car plant shuts, it's not just the people in the plant, it's affecting the supply chain as well. Why is car manufacturing down in the UK by 10%? Simple. We're not shipping cars to the EU anymore. Simple as that. Right, moving on. Also Wednesday, warning over looming medicine supplies, shortage supplies to Northern Ireland due to Brexit. This is going to do with the NI protocols. Now, obviously that's a concern for the people living in Northern Ireland, and it's something that they're going to have to sit down with the EU and work out. We can't have people's health in Northern Ireland suffer because idiots in England and Wales voted to leave the biggest marketplace that we've ever been, the biggest market, if you like, that we've ever been, that's ever been the world's biggest trading bloc, actually. And we were England and Wales were stupid enough to think they were big enough, smart enough, and rich enough to be able to go with it. Mental. Okay. Actually, Evan, apparently First Minister's going to start taking questions on YouTube because it's the only outlet available here. Right, also Wednesday, England fires up 3 mothballed coal-generating electricity plants. Bang goes, commitments made to cut emissions and global warming. COP26, COP27, all the commitments made by that shower of shite down that road, thrown right under a bus. New coal mine opens up in Cumbria, deep coal mine, and now we'll get 3 coal-fired power stations firing back up again. Why do we have to do this? Well, it's because the Tories in 2010 decided that we didn't need gas storage. So they mothballed the gas storage. So now we're having to fire up dirty state power stations in the form of coal. Sorry, kids. It would appear the Westminster government doesn't give a shite about your future. This is madness. We've now got 7 years to a tipping point, and these feckers are firing up coal and gas power stations rather than putting in wind turbines and trying to reduce emissions. Absolutely nuts. They also kicked the plan to clean up England's water courses for 2027 to 2067. They're pumping gallons of shite into the water down there. No wonder they're all cuckoo and voting Tory. Wow. Absolutely nuts. All right, folks. That's the stories I decided to pick out and talk about. But this firing up of a... Thanks, Alston. This firing up a pear character. Am I missing something with these fruits analogies? Pear character lifting some weight says keep it up. With lemons a minute ago. I want to thank you all for the super chats this morning before we move on to what the papers have to say. As you know, the money's going to charity and food banks to be specific because things are hard. Right, let's look and see what the rags have got to say today, shall we? Because to be honest with you, the news didn't really inspire me that much yesterday. The Punch and Judy show sort of put me off for the rest of the day, you know. Right, here we go. Scotland's newspapers. Trans prisoner fears in charge over rail crash. The Metro has trans-rated prison safety fears. There isn't any prison safety fear, folks. Get this straight in your heads, okay? The Scottish Prison Service have been handling transgender prisoners for years, so there is no safety fears. All right, what's Martin saying? Oh, that's it. Oh, he's sent me a picture of Edinburgh Royal Infirmary. Hi, Davey, Edinburgh Royal Infirmary at 15:10 hours yesterday. 4 ambulances, 2 were empty, no activities at other 2. Could not go into hospital for you had a call. Well, thanks, Martin. Another one, come on. Right, where are we? The rags, trans rapist prison fears, safety fears. There is no fears. Scottish SPS, Scottish Prison Service, have been handling transgender prisoners for years. Right, the Scottish Daily Field, the Looney Rag has SNP passes buck over trans rapist jail. Uproar. There isn't any uproar. According to these lunatics at the Express, who obviously didn't watch Urgent Questions yesterday in the Holyrood Chamber, Keith Brown made it quite clear. The Scottish Prison Service have got years and years of experience of dealing with transgender prisoners. And last time I looked, government ministers don't deal with prisoners. That's the courts and the prison service. This sort of loony, these loony rags should be dragged into court, for Christ's sake, misleading the people. The Scotsman goes on, Network Rail faces charges over fatal Stonehaven crash. And Network Rail is to face charges on health and safety shortcomings in relation to fatal train derailment in Stonehaven in 2020, claims the Scotsman. The paper reports that the infrastructure company will not be prosecuted for corporate homicide. 3 people died when the Aberdeen to Glasgow train left the tracks and heavy rain after a landslide. All right. So there you go. Network Rail, which is run by the UK government, to be sued. All right, the Herald has hundreds of disabled Scots face losing jobs in grants crisis. Now, according to the Herald, the Herald exclusively reveals that hundreds of disabled Scots are waiting up to 8 months to have grant support applications assessed. The papers say they're at risk of losing their jobs because the 30-year-old access to work scheme is in chaos. Don't know anything about it. Maybe somebody in the comments will maybe know a wee bit about the grant scheme for access to work. I don't know anything about it. I would need to go and look at it. Right, yeah, it has. Allies send tanks to hold back Putin as Ukraine war escalates. The decision by multiple allies to send tanks to help Ukraine fight back against Russia makes several papers. In the eye, former Royal Navy Chief Lord West says the West has called Putin's bluff after the US joined Germany and the UK and other governments in agreeing to send tanks to help bolster Ukraine's position. Right, the other loony rag, the Daily Mail has, finally the West unites to defend freedom. World War III coming up to be right tap with all the rest of our fecking problems by the looks of it, folks. Right, the National has exclusive. Our poll finds Scotland blamed for crippling crisis NHS at Westminster Door. As we already know, folks, we don't have a crippling crisis in our NHS. The they must be talking about England's NHS, and there's Dr. Philippa Whitford, absolutely fantastic surgeon and MP, smashing person. Right, and the other headline in the National is PM tax scandal, Tories are a parcel of rogues. Sunak left scrambling at Prime Minister's questions as pressure mounts over row. SNP fund calls out defence of Salawi. The Times has laughing gas ban to tackle bad behaviour. Hey, laughing gas. And Sturgeon will block council move to cut teaching staff. Hey, there you go. We'll have a wee bit more of the teaching staff thing tomorrow. Okay. They are planning to introduce a ban on the sale of and possession of laughing gas, nitrous oxide, to cut atrocious behaviour is the main story in the Times. The paper says drug misuse laws would be revised to include the ban. The paper also covers claims Nicola Sturgeon will tell schools they cannot cut hours or teacher numbers to balance the books in tough times. Well, I know how it works. Council's no money, you can't hire teachers. The Daily Rancid has. It was duped into giving child a kidnapping plotter a home. When I see pictures of her looking after my kids, it sends shivers down my spine. And a mum has told the Daily Record how she was duped into inviting two suspects in a US child kidnap and murder plot to stay at her home with her kids. Miriam Berlow Jackson was left traumatised after discovering the woman who had lived with her family near Glasgow for almost 4 months was wanted in the States for a horror movie script scheme to snatch 5 children and kill their parents. Well, that would mean a bit of horror to find that out, eh? Right, where we go? We don't do the sun, so what's the star got for us today? The stars go, NASA goes nuclear for Mars mission. Thrusters to give warp drive. Apparently, they're going to use nuclear power to drive some sort of warp engine, whatever the hell that is. Anyway, it's Star Trek time, eh? Right, folks. Sorry, that's what I've got for you today. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it informative. Now, what was that? Awesome. Hi, Barbara. Thanks for the donation. Look, I've lost it. Awesome. Right, anyway. The two Davies show got in time today because David's been able to sort out what he had today. So the two Davies show got this afternoon at 1600 hours. What we talking about? Don't know. We're winging it. So we'll see what comes out. It should be funny. And of course, support the independent media. Support Broadcasting Scotland, Independence Live, and the Live Radio, Caledon Media, Truth Radio, iScotland Magazine, and the National Newspaper. All right, and support independent bloggers and bloggers. If they've got a crowdfunder on the go, and you can afford to throw a few quid in the pot, please do. As you know, David and I have been able to super chat because things are going to get really bad this year, and any money's raised will go to charity because you know David and I don't really want your money, but there's no much activity going on in the independence movement to allow the ND2 Cafe to make money, so David and I thought we would step in and see if we could help raise some money for food banks. Okay, so thanks very much to everybody who's made a donation so far since the super chat function went on. Once we pass the requisite amount, the money will be paid to an account, and we'll consult with the ND2 Cafe and use guys on what food bank it should go to. Or baby bank. Right, remember the last couple of bits of guidance, folks. Clean hands and serve substitute regularly and mask up in enclosed public areas, especially if you are not feeling well. Show some consideration to your friends, your family, your neighbours, your community by masking up if you're not well. All right. Now remember, folks, eyes on the prize. When it comes to party politics, put them in your pocket when you're talking to people about independence. Party politics isn't what they're going to be asking about when it comes to independence. It's going to be big things like currency, borders, trade, banking, all that sort of stuff. And if you want to know about that sort of stuff, I did a How You Gonies video a wee while back. It's out there on YouTube. You'll be able to find it. That answers all of the questions. Okay. That's what I've got for you today. We'll be back tomorrow morning to do it all again. Have a nice day, folks.